How's the audio, everyone? How's the audio, everybody? Sounds pretty good. I think I can crank it up a little bit. How about this? How about this? Audio check. Okay, this is getting pretty good, and the music's not too loud, and the music doesn't need to be loud. Okay. Okay. What is up, everybody? My name is Richard Terrell. I go by Kirby Kid. I always stretch my arms at the beginning for some weird reason, but you are watching Dio Live. It's a semi-daily, not daily, kind of do it every week stream show in which I talk about game design. Mini Metro is a game that's been on my radar for a long time. Not only is the visual design really, really clean, really crisp, this is actually what inspired the design-oriented logo with all the different colored lines and the Metro style city map. So really cool for Mini Metro. I actually got a chance to talk to the UI designer, and it was really a lot of work goes into this, even though it's a lot more elegant. It's super simple, super elegant, but takes a ton of work to reach this level of quality. Anyway, the game is really cool. They label it as a puzzle game, but it's really a strategy game. It has a lot more sequencing doesn't really matter. It's just more about configurations, and it has a lot more micro than I expected when I first played it. So I'm just gonna explain parts of the design, I guess. Let's see. What the? Why did that do that? Don't do that. Tutorial. One second. Now it's a appropriate ratio. So yeah, in Mini Metro, you have these stations. You drag from this station to get to this station. These little tiny dark squares are the passengers. Whenever you make a line, a train starts going down your line, carrying the passenger from one area to the next. This entire game, yeah, I got one passenger here in the top right. This entire game is based off of subway, railroad line, train line design. What real people might go through or might think about when they're designing these railways. So there's a lot of specific details about this game that I think are necessary to play it well. And I had only recently started playing this game like last week. I played a few hours, and I'm just going through the missions one by one. But as you can see here, like, you can do stuff like this and have another train travel from here to there and there to here, and maybe even connect them like this, maybe connect them like this, maybe even connect all of them to this square for no reason. You have bridges too. You have a limited number, but when you connect over a water, yeah, your bridge count go over there gets used up. Each river crossing uses a tunnel. Yeah, they're tunnels, not bridges. And so even in this simple tutorial example right here, you can see that there are multiple types of stations. I got a new locomotive to an existing or new line. I can use it wherever I want, and I got new tunnels. So this one has a square and 3 triangles, so it's going to pick them all up because each car can carry 6 passengers. It almost picked them all up. And a passenger will only get on a train if the line that it's going to actually has the stop that it needs to stop at. And if any station gets more than 6 passengers, it starts to count down. And if the countdown reaches its conclusion, it's game over. So the whole game is about... Oh, why would you... The whole game is about managing all these different sort of semi-random stations that pop up and meeting the demand that... yeah, you can drag lines like that. Meeting the demand. Alright, and you can just take a train like this and you can make it go down like that, or you can make it go up like this, right? And I could actually add them all to the red line, right? I can even do this with the red line. I can take this blue line because it's not doing much and add it to the red line, right? And And at the next available opportunity, the trains jump lines, right? And I can just do something like this. But the blue line has no cars, so this is actually doing nothing. Uh, and that's like all the basics on how the game works. I didn't even know you could cross over your own lines like this, but maybe I didn't know. And more stations come, and things get more and more complicated. You can speed things up like this. Sometimes stations appear right on your line when you are working, so that's kind of convenient. It's not necessarily super good. And then a lot of times you just make some adjustments like that. New locomotive, a new line. And this is like a lot of cool micro you can do. Like, let's say this blue line is going over here, but I wanted the blue line to touch the circle. I can just add that. And as the train is going, if it hasn't reached the station, it'll correct itself, go there. Then as it's coming back, I could just take it away, right? And then it'll finish its job, and then the line will disappear. So in a way, there's a lot of micro you can do just like this with the yellow coming in. And then I can take it away, just like that. I can make this red line coming down here just go to this for no reason. And maybe just add this. Do that. Take away this line. And this is all happening in real time, so like it's really generous on what it allows you to do on the at least on normal difficulty. A new locomotive, a new carriage. So carriages are like locomotives. What are these called? But you can put them only on existing ones, and it adds to their carry capacity. So this blue one right here, now it's double. And this one's about to explode since I didn't see it pop up, and nobody has been nurturing it. So, you know, I might grab this car and just put it right next to it, and then it'll start working it over as it comes back. Yeah. This is a mess. I think the game tries its best to be efficient, but sometimes you can change the little orientation, the little sequencing to get better results. And the amount of things you connect to, how long your lines can go and touch every single station if you want. That's kind of interesting. And then you can make adjustments just like this. I need to get my Twitch chat up. Put that here. And sometimes you have to pick, right? You can either get more tunnels or a carriage. I don't know what determines those specific juncture points, right? So it looks like here, there's, yeah, too many triangles. But the blue took the triangle, and the blue is gonna deposit the triangle right here. Like, what's a good way for me to draw on the screen? You can't see this, can you? Let me do this and add a program. Window capture. Snip and sketch. It's supposed to be displaying this and it's not doing it. Why isn't it displaying it? You're a worthless program if you can't do that. Jeez. Okay. I'll have to figure out a different way to draw on the screen. Snip tool. Gotta use the old-fashioned snipping tool. Cool. So this program, the old-fashioned program, works better than the new program. Welcome to Microsoft. So with this tool, I can basically click New, like that, like this. Oh. And I think it should just show up on the screen automatically, right? Okay, yeah, so now you can see me drawing. Like this. Cool. So, here's a couple of interesting things about Mini Metro I can just point out while the game is paused, right? So, like, obviously, low-level strategies involve reacting to everything that pops up and just doing the most obvious move as it seems pertinent. I'm going to circle this. Like, connecting this yellow line right here seems pretty obvious, and most people would do something like that. Here's a lot of interesting facts about this game that help it make you do better strategies, and it helps make this game be super deep. A lot deeper than it looks and a lot faster than you might expect. This whole game is using a pretty common video game system. We just call it space, but two-dimensional space is really powerful stuff. It's probably why 99% of the games use space, 2D or 3D, in order to set their gameplay off. What's interesting about this is we're dealing with a sort of a distance problem. So the longer you draw a line from one place to another, like this, all this distance matters. And even this little curly Q right here, that matters. That's adding time that the train has to travel. So already, when you're looking at the shape, you have to figure out what are some more efficient combinations of ways to even draw a single line. And then it gets even more complicated when you're like, what are the efficient ways to draw multiple lines? Like this whole red area, does this need to be a diamond? Is there a better way to do this? So on and so forth, right? It gets really complicated. And this game is really generous in that they let you, let me do this. They let you reconfigure all your lines on normal mode and even drag trains around, right? So it's super generous, trying to help you as much as possible deal with the increasing demand of the population. So another cool thing is you can at a glance see where all your trouble spots are, right? So there's this. 3 circle passengers. The closest circle is either here, if it's going that way, or here, which is 1, 2, or 1, 2, 3 stops away, right? You can start measuring the efficiency of your line by the proximity of important stops, right? So let me show you a screenshot of something that happened to me in a game yesterday. Let me do this. Open original. And let me get my snipping tool and show you what I mean. Let's hope that's automatic. Okay, yeah, you can see what I see. Okay, so this is a level I was playing yesterday, and at this point of the game, there's a ton of stations and a lot of demand. And I looked at this, and this is after I was playing for a while, right? I have 1,338 passengers, and it's been a while playing this map. I had all kinds of lines going, like this line I had going, this line, I had things like this and that, and this green line you can see, and blah, 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 and this pink line. And I erased all of them just to look at the map and see, like, what's going on here. What's interesting that you need to know about Mini Metro is that these shapes, what shape they are and where they appear, are really meaningful, as you might expect, but you start to notice a pattern. And let's see, this, this is the pattern that I noticed. So blue circles are probably the most plentiful station type. Circles are, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, no, 19 or 20 on this map. And total there are 21, 22, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Yeah, so there's double, 2/3 of the whole map about are circles. They're super popular, super plentiful. I think of them as like suburban areas or more rural areas where most people will live, but they want to go to all the cool stuff in the city. So I think in order of their, what is it, density, in order of number of circles that you'll see versus all the other shapes. It starts with circles right here, then it goes to, I think, triangles are the next most populous type, and then squares. And then once you get out of squares, you have an interesting problem. This star, this upside down teardrop, blood drop, this cross, this pentagon, and this diamond, they're only one of a kind. So I highlighted them I highlighted them yellow. And when there's only a station that's a one of a kind, that means no matter where in the entire map, I'll circle some stuff like this. I'll circle all the ones that can only go to that one station, and I'll do it in blue. One station star, one station diamonds going to this diamond right here. Here's a cross. Here is two crosses. Here's a cross and a star. Diamond, teardrop, cross and a cross. Teardrop, teardrop, diamond, star, cross, right? Uh, so these passengers are not the most plentiful, right? You're probably going to still get most of the people that want to go to, here's another teardrop, triangles, squares, and circles. But these guys definitely add a wrinkle to it, the pathing. So if this plus dude or dudette or group wants to get all the way over here, they may have to go through like this line to this line to this line to this line to this line, depending on how you draw it. And there's only one way to get there, right? Um, that's one issue. I identified those spots as being choke points, points of high interest. Well, not high interest, but they can definitely create a bottleneck, because a train will only pick up these passengers if that line or a line connected to that train can actually get to that destination. So if you don't connect your lines properly, these shapes can easily clog up your line, and when other trains pass by, they won't ever pick them up, and it just becomes a huge problem. So identifying the bottlenecks is one thing. Then I identified the what I call the golden ratio, or statio for station ratio. It's a triangle, square, circle. You saw in the beginning of the tutorial, that's like the first set of shapes you get, and that's really the core and where most of your passengers want to go. So I circled all the areas where there's a triangle, circle, and square next to each other, pretty easily next to each other in red. There's four areas where I call those self-sustaining areas. If you connect lines to all those, trains flowing in or trains flowing around those stations are easily going to drop off the majority of the passengers. So these are points where your pressure is relieved, and you got to note where the pressure is relieved on red. The orange lines are potential golden ratios, but they need a tunnel to cross the water. So I circle those as orange, as being like good but not as good. So then if you look at the rest of the map, which I'll take this blue color here and circle all of this, all the blue circles are just circle stations. Again, they may represent suburbia or the residential areas or whatever, but they tend to cluster up outside in a big ring, right? In your city, I call this a city, the downtown seems to have all your points of interest. Like, let's go to the theater, let's go to the national park, let's blah blah blah, go to the aquarium or the esports stadium. That's right. Uh, they tend to be semi next to each other, but far away from where the residential areas are. So when you're planning your trains, you got to be like, I have to. When a train has any other thing but a circle, and let's say I have a line that's doing this, 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 and this, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 circles in a row in which only circles are going to be deposited. That means if there's a line going this way in one direction or the other direction, that's going to be neither dropping off or picking up passengers for all this time. That's a hugely inefficient way to travel. So whenever you see a circle, you're like, that's just going to bottleneck stuff. I have to find ways to break up circle areas, right? I have to find a way to connect all the points of interest, but not too much, because even though people want to go here, it's not nearly as popular as circles, squares, and triangles. I need to make sure my circle areas don't bottleneck my flow lines, and I got to make sure that I tap into these golden ratio spots efficiently from the spots of high density and high problems. cool. So let's go back to the game itself. Cool. All right, so that's what makes the game complicated, and just with those heuristics, like when I first started playing the game, I didn't have any of these heuristics. I didn't know what was more popular than anything else. I couldn't really make an informed decision. I didn't know how the trains worked. I didn't know how the passengers got on and off. And now after playing for a few hours, I'm like, all the strategies make sense. So we're gonna go to main menu. So I got all the medals here. This one was really cool. Deliver 1,000 passengers in London using no more than one tunnel, right? So if you look at London, it's got this huge river that separates the top half of the map from the bottom. And you're like, how can you only use one tunnel? That's going to create a bottleneck. It would create a bottleneck if you couldn't sort of rearrange things on the fly. And it was just, this was a really cool lesson. Um, I think the first medal just is like basic complete the level. Everyone can do the low number. This next number is probably the like medium to hard mode, delivering 1,000 passengers. Do you really know what you're doing? But this third level, I think, stresses some kind of micro or high level strategy element. To deliver 1,000 passengers, you really have to micromanage things in real time. For Paris, in order to deliver 1,300 passengers using no more than 3 lines, this level gives you, I think, 7 or 8 lines. 7 lines total, but you can only use 3. Sure, you can rearrange them, but managing this whole thing with only 3 lines is very interesting, right? Because before you're like, oh, use every single line possible, but that was just a really interesting lesson in that it's not about the number of lines you have, it's always about where you connect them and how many cars you have on them. So I can show you a little bit of what that looked like. Cool, cool. Let me pull up this mini metro images. Paris. And let me just add a thing. Add window capture. This is going to be photo GIFs. Here we go. Why does it never want to capture what I want it to capture? All the Microsoft apps are not working well. Oh well, I'll just do this. Photo GIFs, properties, delete, add window capture screen, and delete. Display capture screen. It's not doing it either. What is up with this? Annoying. Mini Metro. Studio mode. Right monitor. Maybe this will work. Nope. This is terrible. I don't care. Why does it keep opening up different photo apps? Browser, color scheme, display capture. Why won't it work? There we go. Jeez. So now you can see, come on. Paris. Minimize you. Where's Paris? Why aren't you displaying? Okay. Trying to make it hard on me. So this is the same map you just saw before. It looks upside down. Okay. They don't even let you zoom in. What kind of program doesn't let you zoom in? This is so bad. These programs are so bad. Uh, uh, okay, now you can see it nice and zoomed in. So this is the one where I drew multiple lines. And this is the one where I had to work with just a handful of lines. Oh my gosh. Right, just blue, green, and yellow. Oh, pink, what are you doing there? You can't even pause GIFs. It's good enough. Next one, where is it? Paris normal. Right, so this is a screenshot of when everything was about to explode, and I took a screenshot and be like, okay, this is a lot of inefficient activity and a lot of inefficient train lines. So I gutted the whole thing and tried to reroute them. But this is just a clean version of the same image. Okay. So we're going to jump back in the game and kind of show it in real time. Let's do New York City. Deliver 1,000 passengers. Not hard. Deliver 1,600 passengers with square stations on no more than 2 lines. With square stations on no more than 2 lines. Okay. We'll shoot for it. So what's really cool about this medal system, you can earn them all while playing. But if you click on one and play, the game will pause when you're about to break it because you're breaking the rules and say, hey, you might want to fix that. Really cool. Instead of like playing for so long and then messing it up with one misclick. Really cool system. They get an award for that. Okay, so square stations on no more than 2 lines. I get to use all this. I'm going to start with this. This is just golden ratio again, but instead of using 2 bridges, we're just going to connect these like this. This line will go back and forth. Cool. Really nice menus. Okay, so we have our. They always start you off with the golden ratio, the statio. And what's cool about not making them in a loop versus making this just a single line versus a loop like this would be a loop, is that this middle one is always the least, it's the most attended to because gets attended to twice as much as these other ones. And here's a cluster of triangles that are all going to clog each other if I don't draw a line properly. But at this early stage, I don't think it matters that much. Okay. So now that we have some choices to make, 2 clustered circles and 3 triangles. If I just made a line like this and connected them, that means this circle will be fed here, but if it needed to be a square, if there's a square anywhere moving to the right, it's not going to pick it up and only pick it up moving to the left. So right now this is a choke point. So what we do about stuff like that is we just make a new line, and we can say, well, we're not going to let you get past this triangle if you're a square. And this thing's just going to run back and forth. And we'll speed this up. So now we have a perfect ratio here. This line will take care of itself no matter what happens.